I have I have always been fascinated with owls. I can remember years ago sitting in a deer blind one early morning and having an owl in a tree nearby. And I just thought it was amazing and I just loved to watch it. So I built many birdhouses for our property. I think I've got like 30. But most of those are songbird houses. And I thought, man, I need to build some owl houses. So I did a lot of research online and I tried to find the best one. And this is the one I think is best for us. I started with buying some 3/4 by 12-inch white pine boards. And why white pine? Because it's cheap, it's inexpensive. And so anyways, so the dimensions, I don't think the owls really care, but they do want a lot of space. So the 12-inch wide, and I used it on all four sides. So that gives me a cavity of 12 by 12, which is plenty of room. But the owls, they're a big bird. And they like lots of room. So I think this will be fine. As far as the opening for the owls, it's about the size of a roll of blue painter's tape. I don't know exactly how big it needs to be. I think I made mine between 4 and 5 inches, probably 5 inches in diameter, and I think that's going to be plenty of space. I believe the back wall is between 28 and 30 inches high. I left a little, okay, on the first one I didn't, but on the other couple I did leave a little lip on the bottom about 2 inches down to give me an area that I could screw it to a tree or power pole or something like that. And then on the top, I think I had about 4 or 5 inches on the top. The first one is just pretty vanilla. And then the second one, I thought, I'll dog-ear the corners, make it look a little better. Anyways, I think the only other thing is that the distance from the floor to the hole where they go in and out needs to be about 10 inches. So I did that. And then the other thing is with clean out. How do I clean this out from time to time? I'm sure I could, a lot of people put the hinge on the top. But then I saw a video where a guy, he used a little trapdoor on the bottom. And so I put these little braces and then I could put a trapdoor on the bottom. This is a little perch on the inside. So when they're coming and going, they got something to hang on to. The good thing about pine is it doesn't cost a lot. The bad thing is that it'll split. You run a fat screw through there or something, most likely you're going to split the board. So I always pre-drill all my holes. Now in this case, I used 1.25-inch deck screws to hold it together. So I cut the boards, I put some glue on there, and then some braid nailers. Those are about 1.5-inch braid nails. And then I pre-drill the holes, and then I use 1.25-inch deck screws. Give it a nice snug, and hopefully it'll last a long time. I added some perches on the outside, just so as they fly up, they have something to grab a hold of. It's a little trapdoor. Now, one thing you could be worried about is, say a raccoon or something, porcupine climbs up a tree and forces up the little trapdoor. So I did put a countersunk hole in the front so that I can put a screw in there, kind of hold that trapdoor in place, give it a little security. So first I'm building 3 boxes. I've got 120 acres, and so I felt 3 boxes was good. It gives them a lot of space between the other boxes. I added some holes on the bottom just for one, in case water gets in there, it's got some place to drain. Big damn box. Good box. Good box. This is a Japanese method of treating the wood to allow it to hold up against the weather, the rain, the sun, kind of like charring a steak. Gives a little bit of a char on the outside, seals it, kind of makes it a little bit of waterproof, and it actually looks really cool. So definitely fired up all the boxes, help them last a long time. So I don't have to build another one next year. Something else I discovered is that owls, they don't really like building their own nest. And what I mean by that, they're not going to go out and gather a bunch of grass and sticks and stuff to build the nest. They like to find something that's already there, like an old dead tree cavity or something like that. So I went ahead and put some bedding on the inside of this so that it'd be that much more enticing for them, something they'd be excited about. Something I learned about installing them is they like to be over a big open area, like a field or something. They want to be somewhere where they can sit there on the box and they could look out. Maybe see some field mice or a snake or something else they can bring home for dinner. Boxes should be at least 12 to 15 feet off the ground. That's kind of like where they want to be. They feel real safe at that height. Something else that I found is the owls prefer to have a clean shot to the box. In other words, they don't want to have to go through a bunch of branches. And so I cleared some of the branches that were obstructing the front of the box, and so now they got a clean shot when they want to land. I put this one, it's about 130 yards from the cabin. I like to be able to sit down there at the cabin and watch, see who's coming and going. I thought this was a great location just because of those branches there. They're actually like an extended perch. Gives them something else to hang out on besides the box itself. I started thinking, I had some leftover wood. Not a lot, not enough to build a new box, but some. So then I thought, you know what, why not a fourth box? I then started looking around the shop and I found some other pieces of wood, and it's all kind of like a hodgepodge. I got some white pine, I've got some cedar, I've got some plywood. And so I just made it work. I don't think the owls are going to care. Doing the Shu Shojiban. The cedar's burning up quick. Anyways, I love my little torch. This thing is amazing. I use this for all kinds of stuff. It's great. Got it on Amazon. You need to start a campfire, it'll do it in a minute. It's pretty amazing. last box, the one I'm putting together with all kinds of scraps that I found around the shop, I thought, what a cool idea. Okay, actually, it was my wife's idea. But what a cool idea to use a shed we found. This is a shed from a young red stag. And so we thought we'd use it for a perch. Now, I had some cylinder pieces from some barstool legs that I'd cut off laying around, and I thought they'd make great standoffs. So I used some 4-inch deck screws to mount this shed on the front of the box to act as a perch for the owls. Okay, well, trying to get as high as I can. You know, down here in South Texas, the trees just aren't as tall as they are in other parts of the country. So we get it about 12 feet off the ground. Again, clearing the branches so that the owls will have a direct approach to the box. And then putting it in front of a big open area, like a field or something. I used 4-inch deck screws to mount it to the tree. I used a 2x4 on the back side so it's not leaning back against the tree itself. It actually sits kind of parallel. But I think it turned out pretty good. Not bad for something we just threw together in less than an hour with scrap we had laying around the shop. It is spring, so we decided to take a look at some of the songbird boxes that we have. They all seem to be doing pretty good. Lots of eggs, lots of babies. It should be a great year for birds out at the C4.